Good morning and welcome back to Live Without Limits, the success shift that helps you think like your future self. I'm your host, David Shinsky, and in today's episode, we are going to talk about that at some point our lives we all feel it. Life feels small, your world feels confined, your options feel limited, your circumstances feel like they're shrinking, and your ability to dream. But here's the truth: your life isn't small, your perspective is compressed, and once you expand your perspective, everything else expands with it. If you've been feeling stuck, restricted, boxed in, or unable to see a big future, this episode is going to help you breathe again. So, the title of this show is Think Bigger When Life Feels Small. When my world became small, I want to start with a personal story, a moment when thinking bigger felt nearly impossible. There was a chapter in my life when nothing seemed to be moving the way I wanted it to. For one thing, growing up with a disability meant that my opportunities were limited. The people around me didn't understand my vision, and no matter what I tried, it felt like life was closing in around me because the people around me didn't look at me and see me as being successful. I had to learn how to change and how to get beyond the limiting beliefs that were being put on me by society. Now, not because I lacked potential, but because I was surrounded by the familiar, the predictable, the limited. So everything seemed small. And when life feels small, your mind begins to shrink its expectations. You tell yourself, maybe I'm dreaming too big. Maybe this is just how life is. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I should be just settle. And I can remember when I was talking to someone about building my business, he told me to go back and sit in the job for $5, and that would be the best I could ever do. But you know what? I eventually realized you cannot think big while living inside a small environment, mental, emotional, or physical. My environment wasn't supporting expansion, it was reinforcing limitation. And that's when something shifted inside me. I asked myself a powerful question: what if my life isn't small? What if I'm just seeing it through a narrow lens? That question changed how I showed up. It changed how I thought. It changed how I dreamed. And eventually, it changed my life. Today, I want to help you create the same shift. You have to. No amount of anyone else telling you what to do can change who you are. You just have to decide what you want to do and how you want to get there. And sometimes you're not going to have those support systems that you need to help you get where you want to be. And sometimes it's your personality that keeps you from reaching those goals. For one thing, if you're outgoing, like my personality is to be have very strong interpersonal skills. So I didn't settle and that's also because I was more of an extrovert and I needed to be around people, but I knew who were the right people that could help me and support me and give me the encouragement that I needed. And all of that came from outside my family. And let me explain to you that I was born in 1951. And it wasn't until the late 60s and the early 70s that the laws began to change and help and govern the fact that people with disabilities have rights in society. And before that, everything was closed. People didn't understand what a disability is. And the attitude was, oh, don't touch her, don't get near her, you'll get contaminated. And so, therefore, I was also isolated because when I was in school, you did not see anyone with a disability. And even though my disability is mild, it's still obvious and it still affects how I learn today. I had to learn what works for me and not accept what others were telling me as fact. And let me back up. I was talking about personalities. And I base it on the DISC, which is the DISC. The dominant personality, the person with good, strong interpersonal skills are extroverts. They're more likely to be willing to get beyond the limiting beliefs or the things that others have told them about themselves and reevaluate and be very introspective. But someone who's an S or a C can very much be introverts, and introverts are more likely to accept what the people around them are telling them. And by doing so, what happens? They accept that they can't succeed and they will sit within that comfort zone. So, are you going to be willing to get beyond your comfort zone, or are you going to sit there and feel boxed in? Why life feels small. Life feels small for three reasons. Your environment shapes your imagination. If you're surrounded by people who think small, people who expect little, people who fear change, people who limit themselves, your dreams begin to shrink to match their comfort zone. You begin fitting into other people's expectations rather than expanding into your own. Your past shapes your lens. If your past taught you, don't expect too much. Be realistic. Stay safe. Accept what you get. You internalize these messages as truth, but they're not truths. They're conditioning. Your nervous system protects you from the unknown. Your brain isn't built for big thinking. It's built for survival. Thinking big requires stepping outside familiarity, predictability, comfort, identity, old patterns, which your nervous system interprets as danger. So when life feels small, it's often because your brain is trying to protect you from expansion. But smallness is not safety, it's stagnation. And stagnation suffocates potential. Now, let's go back and look at each of these. Your past shapes your lens. For one thing, what did you experience as a young child? How did that affect you? That whenever you encounter a situation that is very similar, you're going to react the exact same way. And how your environment shapes your imagination. Every one of us, each of our day's experiences change who we are. The people around you, the people you talk to, the strangers you meet, all of that. Put yourself in a position to see things as the people around you. And as I mentioned earlier, someone told me I should not try to be more than work for a job for $5 an hour. And this was like 30 years ago. So that job may be $14 an hour now, but it hasn't really expanded. And that's poverty level income. That's why when it came time for me to get Social Security, because I was always in low paid, underskilled jobs, I was $3,800 short of being able to get Social Security. So therefore, I'm on SSI. But here's the difference. If I had gotten Social Security because I hadn't paid enough in to get a decent income in Social Security, I would have had to get supplemental security just to survive. This way, it comes all in one check in the same amount that I would have gotten being on dual. Both, and dual meaning being both Social Security, disability, and SSI to supplement it to have a decent, what the government considers a decent income. You know, it's up to you. And back when I started my business, let me show you that most people, when they go into business for themselves, they've either worked in the corporate environment or they've worked for someone where they've built up some kind of income and savings. Therefore, it's much easier to be able to start your own business. But when you don't have those same opportunities and you're basically starting from scratch, and here's the kicker, the way I learn differently. If you're in the classroom, they have to teach in a cookie cutter way so that the way they teach reaches the majority of the people, because the majority of the people learn from seeing and from hearing. But you have some people who actually learn from actually doing something. And therefore, you have to act- actually understand where it's coming from and understand who you are. When you understand yourself, then you learn what your potential is and you know how and what you have to do. And if you don't know, you need to seek out services that can help you. That's why many years ago, I wanted to start and establish a nonprofit that would serve people with disabilities who are entrepreneurs who don't have the same opportunities as everyone else to build up some type of financial security before starting a business. Now, let's talk about your nervous system, because that's the physical part of who you are. Whereas the other things are the external effects on you. When it comes to your nervous system, that's actually your body reacting to certain situations and learning how to protect yourself from danger. And protecting yourself is one way to keep from being hurt. Now, let's talk about the moment expansion found me. There was another moment in my life when I learned something profound about thinking bigger. I had just taken a bold step in my career, and almost immediately life pushed back hard. Suddenly, the people around me had opinions. You're moving too fast. That's too big of a dream. That won't work. You're taking too many risks. but deep inside, something whispered, "You're not wrong. You're growing." That whisper became a lifeline because thinking bigger doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels uncertain. Sometimes it feels like stepping into a world that no one else understands. But that's the price of expansion. You must trust the next level of your life before it shows itself. Once I embraced this truth, the doors I thought were closed began opening, all because I chose to think beyond my comfort zone, even when life felt small. And remember, it's what your head tells yourself. And when you think about it, look at it this way. You When you go back to the 60s, we had psychodrama, we had transactional analysis, we had the Freudian theory, and they were the basis of, and technically, the things that you looked at. You had Jungian psychology. Now, all of these things, and if you look at psychodrama is a way to use a scene or an action scene where you interact with someone and you play out a situation, and you have someone that's your your double who will say things, and you got to say, yes, that's right, no, that's wrong, this is what it is, so that you're expressing to the person who's in essence put you down or been negative to you, and rewriting your script and your story to be what you want it to be, not the story you've been given all your life. And in transactional analysis, which was established by Eric Berne, we talk about the adult, the parent, and the child. The parent says to you, you should. Listen to your head. Listen to all the shoulds that you have been told and write them down. Then look at the adult. The adult says, I am able to. Then take those things and say, is this right or is it wrong? What am I able to do? And list that down. Then the child, if you think about your child, what did your child always say? I want. And then list all the things that you have always wanted. And then look at the things you choose to do and figure out, can you do it? How can you do it? What are some of the things that you can do that can help you reach those goals in your life? It's always up to you to decide whether or not you want to change. You have to look at what's your comfort zone, what feels uncomfortable to you. Are you willing to get beyond your comfort zone? Are you willing to get and choose to be successful rather than being a failure? Because you know, the people around you, if they are feeling limited and they feel threatened by you when you move beyond that comfort zone. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to listen to them or whether you're going to choose to go your own path. And sometimes, they say if you want to be successful, get around successful people. If you want to remain in what is your comfort zone, then stay in that framework with people who are failures, because that's where you've decided you want to be. So you have to decide whether or not you want to control your life or whether you're going to allow others to control it for you. And often I've seen where you have parents who are overbearing because they live their lives through their children because they never achieved what they truly wanted to achieve in their lives. And they see where their children have that potential to give them what they wanted in life to begin with. The expansion framework, a practical system for thinking bigger when your life feels restricted. Here are the 4 steps to shift into big thinking. Expand your questions. Small thinking asks, how do I get through the day? What's the minimum I can do? How do I avoid discomfort? Big thinking asks, what's possible for me? How do I elevate my life? What am I meant to build? What would the next version of me be? Your life expanded at the speed of your questions. Expand your environment. You don't grow by staying in the same room, mentally or physically. Ask yourself, who challenges me? Who inspires me? Who is thinking bigger than I am? Who already lives the life I want? You don't need to leave everyone behind, but you do need to go where expansion is possible. Expand your self image. You must see yourself as someone who can hold more success, more visibility, more opportunity, more abundance, more purpose. Your life cannot grow beyond the size of your identity. If you see yourself as small, life will match that image. Expand how you see yourself, and your world expands with you. Expand your actions. Thinking big requires acting bigger, not in grand gestures, but in bold consistency. Make the phone call, start the project, apply for the opportunity, open the door others closed. Say to yourself yes to what scares you. Take risks that your old identity avoided. Big thinking doesn't create big results, big actions do. Now, we've just gone through the 4 actions that you need to take. Being, you need to expand your questions, that you need to change how you think. Often we've heard about the laws of attraction, and to think more positively, you have to turn those questions around. You have to ask yourself what you can do that can get you where you want to be. Then you have how to expand your environment. That how do you choose to find mentors or coaches that can help you reach your goals? You know, society is a situation where they're going to look to hold you back because they don't want to see someone be more successful than they are. And then we talked about how to expand your image. That's how you see yourself. And that means you can do meditation to get in touch with what's going on in yourself, or write down a gratitude or a journal where you write down things about yourself on a daily basis. Because you know, the things that we experience today make us different from who we were yesterday and who we will be tomorrow. So always recognize that it's up to you to understand who you are and to look within yourself and decide exactly how you can become that person you want to be. And then take the action. And that's where you expand yourself. Now, let's talk about how to expand your breath expand your life. Pause with me for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Feel your chest lift. Feel your body expand. Now exhale. The breath is a metaphor of your life. Every inhale is an expansion. Every exhale is a relief. And ask yourself, where have I been thinking too small? What dream have I been shrinking to fit my circumstances? What is ready to grow in me? Your answer matters. Your expansion shifts starts now. Now, let's think back to when you were a child, when you didn't have limitations of yourself. What did you do? You believed you could conquer the world. You believed you could achieve anything. So you have to get back in touch with who that person is. And you can do that through meditation, through, you know, in at night when you sleep, your subconscious takes over, and your subconscious actually is telling you what your potential is. And that also influences your dreams. You can influence your dreams at night by telling yourself to think about the things that you want to achieve and what potential you have, and exactly how to do it. It's it's understanding, and we don't always remember our dreams, because if you wake up right after you dream, you're going to remember it. But if you turn over and go back to sleep, then that is lost to you. So understanding exactly who you are, where you come from, how you want to get there, that can help you expand, and it can help you think about how to dream big and not allow circumstances to hold you back. Life will always try to make itself small when you outgrow your old identity, but you were born for expansion. You were born for evolution. You were born to grow beyond the expectations placed on you. Thinking bigger isn't about ego, it's about purpose. It's about allowing the version of you that's been waiting patiently to finally rise. Your life doesn't get bigger when things get easier. Your life gets bigger when you get bigger on the inside, and you are ready to step into more, ready to see beyond the familiar, ready to live a life that reflects your potential, not your past. Therefore, you have to think about whether or not you're looking towards the future, whether or not you're thinking where you want to be in another year from now, in another 5 years from now, in another 10 years from now. If you're working on a book, building your message, or stepping into your next level, use one of the most powerful ways to expand your voice is through audio. I offer professional audiobook creation services, and you don't have to record anything yourself. I'll create a free custom audio sample of your book using a polished professional AI narrated voice. To get your sample, just message me. Send me my audiobook sample. Include your book title, the first 2 to 3 paragraphs, and I'll handle the rest. Let your message grow. Let your voice expand. Let your story be heard. If you're a coach, if you're a professional speaker, here's what you need to know. I remember when I started in the business, everyone was saying you have to write a book because that book be, puts you as an authority in your subject. And it's part of your media kit that you send out. Today, it's ebooks that we do. And it's you also want something narrated because people will listen to audiobooks when they're in their car or on a long trip. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Live Without Limits. And remember, your life feels small only when your mindset hasn't caught up with your potential. You are capable of more than your environment has shown you. And you are meant for more than your past has allowed. Your future is bigger than anything you've imagined so far. So until next time, I'm Davida Shinsky, reminding you to expand your thinking, expand your possibilities, and always live without limits.